Good evening, everybody. What's going on? It's another day in paradise. I guess I can just kind of call this Mulatto Tuesday. It's a mulatto day every day, but apologize for my absence yesterday, but I'm here now. So what's up? Just kind of some house, keeping or just some brief things I want to share with you guys before I get into the main meat of the matter. And I'm not going to take too long, but I do have a clip I want to share with you, obviously, with the title of the stream and the thumbnail. As you can see, Olympic gold medalist Cindy McLaughlin gaslit for being light skinned. So we're gonna get right in. We're gonna get into that in a little bit. But first, I want to share this some news today, which is a very important person in American history, particularly with the entertainment industry and within kind of civil rights, right? Which is Harry Belafonte. So, of course, as I put here today, he's transitioned, right? So this is some good history that I wanted to share with you guys. Definitely honoring the icons who've came before us and have contributed to what contributed a lot to where we are able to do what we are doing today. For me, sitting in the comfort of my own home, speaking to you guys, a lot of that comes from individuals just like him, right? So shout out to him. Definitely, I think I don't know too much about him. I mean, he's kind of before my time, obviously. He, passed away 97, 96. So it's like, yeah, it's literally more than half a century older than me. So he's lived a lot. Pretty sure had a very prosperous life. But what I wanted to add a kind of a note on him. I've heard that during the civil rights era, because he's definitely contributed to the civil rights movement, and he used his kind of political, and excuse me, not political. He used his celebrity position, his celebrity influence to help finance some of the kind of freedom movements and protests, so to speak, during that time in the 60s, which was kind of, which I don't want to say the word that starts with the S, but it's like self-deletion, kind of career self-deletion, right? At that time, even today, if you kind of get yourself, in the middle of politics, it can be very bad for business and your kind of your future. But obviously, we've seen some people, they've kind of made a career out of it, in particularly people like Colin Kaepernick, and even like LeBron James could be some notable people in the sports realm who've made a career out of their political stance. But just wanted to add that in there. And yeah, I shared something about Andrew Tate I saw on Twitter. Thought it was very interesting. Don't need to even bring it up now. You guys can check out my community post if you want to see that. I wanted to, touch up on this right here. So of course, kind of have a pretty what I'd say, the title of it, biracial hood booger politics lesson. Now it doesn't always fall in line with the hood booger, but I'm just using that for the kind of, drastic effects. But what I want to see is a general, I'm gonna say this general statement here, right? I'm pretty sure you guys can see that. I can actually zoom it a little bit. So as you see here, biracial hood booger politics lesson. Many biracial women seek protection from dark-skinned black women, right? And a lot of them, talking about biracial women, they will go and run to dark-skinned black men. And they're doing that seeking for, of course, acceptance, which falls in line with community. And of course, within the structure of that community, you have protection, right? So all three of those things are involved. And they're seeking the acceptance, the community, and the protection from dark-skinned black women. That's not in all cases, but it's very, very, very common. It's essentially why we're here today. A lot of us kind of navigate towards these pages and channels and, looking for answers, looking for community, essentially, Unfortunately, a lot of them end up as baby mamas, right? When, excuse me, when they go that route, and the rest of society ends up laughing at them for continuing the communitah cycle of dysfunction, pathology, and failure. And of course, hashtag it is what it is with my hands up. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm here to laugh. Some people, a lot of people I'm here to help, obviously provide solutions, create an environment where it's welcoming to those. For sure, definitely is a public domain. It's a public platform. But I just wanted to note that this is a very common theme that I see Now, the lady I'm going to talk about, I just want to share that. And of course, you have some Fuji-san and Sakura, you know, cherry blossom, springtime. You still have the kind of frost capped mountain, frost capped Fuji. So I just, I love Japanese culture and everything that has to do with Japan. Obviously, Bushido, which is the warrior code of the samurai, but springtime, the cherry blossoms, Mount Fuji, their nature, even the geisha women, the kimono. So anything that has to do with Japan, I mean, I'm pretty much gonna uphold it and share it. So I really like what they have to offer. Cool. So it looks like hybrids in the house. What's up? So I'm gonna get right into it, but also, like I said, keep that in mind. What I mentioned about seeking protection and community. Okay. Now, seeking protection and community, and then that protection is obviously not from the men. I know you hear that whole every 5.5 hours, and I laughingly joke about that because you're looking at some of these women who say that their own demographic are some of the most violent women in the damn country. Every, week, there's a video of the same people, same demographic, not the same people, but within their group, the demographic that are committing these crimes, hitting, assaulting men. It's amazing. So I jokingly laugh at the whole, every 5.5 hours because I believe it's really it's um it's blown out of proportion really from what I'm seeing out here. Let me get right into this stuff right here. So this is going to be Sydney McLaughlin. If you guys, I dropped the link for the StreamYard in the chat, pinned it. So if you guys have any, questions, comments, concerns, feedback, now's your time. I don't know if I'm forever going to do this, drop the link. Um, Depending on the subject matter. But if you guys want to join in or ask me any questions directly, obviously you can see my email there. You can, send me an email or you can ask me directly right now. It depends on what you want to do. So the title of this video I'm going to be covering, it's Athletes Deserve Respect. Sydney McLaughlin has some thoughts. Now she's going to do some crying, kind of some sobbing, talk about her faith. She's a young woman, extremely accomplished for her age, right? I believe she's barely like 25 years old. She's already had gold medalist. I don't really know all of her accolades, um, but she's extremely accomplished, especially for her age, which is amazing. So I'm going to get right into this right now. Like I said, this video is from about a year ago. I didn't see anybody else cover it, so I thought, why not provide kind of my insight and analysis and observation on it. And obviously, shout out to Jay Sharp because he's the one who kind of shared this with me and I reviewed it and I was like, oh, interesting. Yeah. As soon as I kind of started her, let me just play it. So I'm going to play it now. So fair use, fair use.
Man, never in my life did I think I'd be even making a video like this. I have no makeup on, so you can see all my scars, which is like, this is who I am. It's fine. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what's happening, and I really feel like this is just such a test of faith because my whole life and if I start crying, it's fine. My whole life.
And she is going to start crying just for, disclaimer. But like you said, test of faith. So she's very heavily religious. Just kind of wanted to stop and say that. Continuing on, fair use.
If I've worked to get to where I am right now.
Want to stop right there. Like she said, she's worked to get where she's at right now, which is the way it should be across the board, which is what they call merit, a merit-based system. Merits based off your works. But as we can see, there is there's demographic within the nation who their whole identity is based off being a victim, right? And of course, she has close proximity within that demographic, adjacent, if you will. And so within that, she's essentially going to be put in a position to where people will challenge her and say, well, it's not your merit. It's because you have privilege, right? You have light skin privilege. You didn't get the gold medal and all the cameras and, publicity. That's not because of your hard work and your faith and your merit. No, that's because you have light skin, right? Right. And that always comes from a particular demographic, right? Because who the hell is, going to be darker than her, right? There's a lot of people, a lot of other demographics, but who cries about it the most? Who develops the whole pseudo philosophical concepts like colorism and featureism? Who's developed that? Who's developed intersectionality, right? So you kind of look at these things and have to question it. Continuing on, fair use.
Every young track athlete's dream is to be an Olympian, to break a world record, to be the best version of themselves that they can be. I couldn't understand 2 years ago why I wasn't there, why I was falling short, why things weren't going right. And
90% of signs of aging are caused by.
I think it's time for me to upgrade my subscription, right? Upgrade this YouTube. Yeah, once this pretty
I
soon.
think
Tell you
God
that.
just said it wasn't my time.
Fair
He
use.
needed me to mature
And here the tears
in
are.
my relationship with him and just who I am as a woman and figure that out before he could give me this heavy load to carry. He knew I needed.
And you know what's really good I like about this? Yeah, it's for sure her faith, but the thing is how she looks at it as a test, this challenge that's come her way, that it's an opportunity, it's a test for her to make herself into a better person. I do like that. I like her mindset. Obviously, she's a winner. You don't just get the gold medal because you're pretty and you're light skinned, like a lot of the knuckleheads, the victimhood people, how they try to make it seem like, right? It's sad because she's gonna, go into further detail where it's kind of people within on her team closer to her, but we'll see about that. But yeah, her mindset, it has to be strong, right? And very competitive. Everything has to be a test because yeah, you don't get the gold medal. It's only like a tiny, tiny, literally like a 1% less than that that's going to be able to achieve that type of status of gold medal. So she's one of them, the super rare people. So continuing on, fair use.
Needed him in order to carry it. And even in this season of such growth, this year has been full of such growth, such change, emotionally, physically, spiritually. It's just still such a test of faith. Not even 3 days ago, I literally achieved one of my life's dreams of breaking the world record. And I'm going to be honest, a lot of the people around me did not respond how I thought they would.
They were jealous, right? You had some snakes around you, a lot of the people, because here you are, a disciplined woman from a good family, good background, good religious faith, right? Good devotion to your faith, good ethics and morals, you hard worker. But you had a bad team around you. You were surrounded by a bad team, right? Yeah. They didn't give you the reaction you expected from them. They should be happy for you, right? They were there with you in the training room through all the hard work. But now that you won, you kind of surpassed them, so to speak. Now they're showing you their true colors. So it's a question of the team. Very interesting. Yeah, her surroundings. But I bring it back to the post I made earlier about seeking protection, seeking acceptance and community. And yeah, it's very integral for sure. Continuing on, fair use, fair use.
Don't get me wrong, I know like the job's not finished. There's still the Olympics. I'm not taking my foot off the gas, but man, in a moment like that where like these are moments you remember for a lifetime. These are opportunities that you don't get every single day. I felt like the people I thought would be the most excited for me literally almost didn't even care.
Yeah, it must be a tough feeling for sure. The people you thought cared the most about you, the people you represented, the people you identified with. As soon as you won something big, you won something huge, they uh they showed you that they didn't really care all along. You know what? She's a young woman, right? Like I said, she's extremely accomplished, young age, and I like her perspective, her, outlook on this. Basically, that this is a test that God, you know, Mr. Palmer calls Sky Daddy. That's how he says it. I think it's kind of funny, but yes, how Sky Daddy is like, giving her a test, right, for her character to develop herself, which I like that mindset she has. But yeah, continuing on, fair use.
And I have some really great people in my life um, that love me more than I can say some family loves me. Um,
I wanted to pause right there. She said she has some great people in her life that loves her more than family loves her. That's interesting. Interesting. What I've come to realize at my age is pretty much family is everything. I think when I was in my kind of around her age in my 20s, I was definitely seeking, you know, uh, trying to find myself, seeking answers and stuff. I mean, I'm still on that journey, right, of life, trying to find answers, purpose, all that stuff. But I was definitely for sure in a more uncertain position when I was her age. And I definitely had that kind of outlook where I was like, you know what? I think I can trust friends or trust these people more than family. But at the age where I'm at now, I'm like, no, I think family is my best bet, to be honest with you. I've lived enough to realize that, yeah, family is definitely everything. But it's interesting for her. She said there's a lot of people who are more so, you know, than family. But the thing is, I wanted to point out as well is she definitely married into blackness, right? And so, of course, it's all congruent. It's part and parcel with why she has tears. She has tears because she's seeing people who she thought, not her husband particularly, but some of her teammates, etc., other fans, or anybody else around her who should be cheering her on, they're not giving her the same praise as she'd expect them to. Definitely a good life lesson that she's getting. But continuing on, fair use.
and I'm just going to be real. It hurts. I'm still hurt to this point, just not understanding when it's going to be enough for a lot of people. Um,
Pause. You can hear the hurt in her voice. When is it gonna be enough? She's very vague in this whole clip. She's gonna get right into the real meat of the matter towards the end of the clip, but I wanted to play it from the beginning to give you guys the full picture, kind of. Um, but she's very vague there, right? When is it gonna be enough for some people? I mean, to me, it's enough. You're a pretty young lady. You're devoted to your faith. You have extremely hard work ethic. You're extremely accomplished. Like I said, you're very rare. You have a gold medal. So it's like, what else? Like, you've already proven yourself to me as far as I'm seeing it. But so she's very vague. She's not going to get into specifics right now, but she will in a little bit about, proving. It's that acceptance, right? Proving this is a very common position. A lot of mulattoes and mulattas, mixed race people find themselves in when they're dealing with the communitah. They're in this position to prove themselves for acceptance, right? And she's having her wake up call a lot earlier. And I've already, suspected this when I started uploading videos to my channel, giving people my analysis. Basically, I already knew this was going to happen. That the people younger than me, they were going to get their wake up call before a lot younger than I did. I knew this was going to be a trend. It's inevitable because our numbers are rising. There's more of us, more of us. We're gonna have similar stories. This is great. We can, hop on these platforms and share these stories. But of course, there's action that comes after that. Really, developing a community sense. And yeah, continuing on, fair use, fair use.
Mm. I've worked really hard and been very cautious of how I carry myself.
Pause. Yeah, a lot of tears. Like she's saying, she's worked very hard, merit based. How she carries herself. I don't know too much about this lady, like I said, but I'm kind of involved now after reviewing this. But it's yeah, she's been very just upright and standard citizen, etc. But that's not. I mean, like I said, when I was within circles, pro black circles, I started to realize that the worst piece of shit, degenerate criminals, the scum at the bottom, they're protected within the pro black circles. The victim, I mean, they're given this victimhood status when even though a lot of them are the predators, the criminals, the thieves, their behavior is excused. There's no accountability. They tell them, well, it's the white man's fault. It's white supremacy. So the worst people get protection. They get glamorized. You wonder why the behavior never changes or subsides. Every year it gets worse and worse and worse. The degeneracy. Those are the people they uphold and uplift. Now, people like her, good Christian background, hard work excuse me, hard work ethic, right? Devoted, motivated to excel and achieve, those people are pushed out. They're ostracized. There's jealousy. Oh, it's because you're light skinned, because you mixed. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I experienced that. I know exactly how she feels because it didn't matter that I'd volunteer, support, businesses, in a community, involve myself in community organizations. That didn't matter. All that stuff didn't matter. The person, any bum off the street, like I always use a reference about, smoking blunts, playing Xbox, chasing light skinned women, because literally those type of people, you can say Daquan or Glocktavius, whatever, as long as he puts on a dashiki, poof, now he's a pro whack. Those type of people are the heroes. They're the good guys, right? And even though they could barely speak English, those are the good guys, right? They don't have to prove anything, but there's a whole set of criteria if you want the fake acceptance, right? And she's going through that right now. She's analyzing all this stuff. This is a year ago, the video, but yeah, very interesting. Continuing on, fair use, fair use.
Of the things that I post because I want to glorify God and I want to be a good example to people.
Pause. Yeah, she wants to be a good example of people. Like she said, she wants to glorify God. But before that, she has a large social media following. Her Instagram, she's got over 1 million followers. I barely knew who she was until somebody shared this clip with me. That's kind of how under the radar she was. But for me, because I mean, it's track and field, right? So there's so many different sports. I mean, I'm a combat sports guy, MMA, cage fighting mainly. So there's so many sports. I don't follow them all, but she has 1 million social media followers on Instagram, right? And what she said was that she's very careful what she shares and posts. She wants to spread positivity. Like she said, her faith, her religious faith, praising God and all that stuff. But as you can see, the people who post the twerking videos, all the fighting videos, those and the drug use, right? Those are the good ones. Those are the cool ones, right? Those are the good. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. I've been around the block. I've been in enough different groups. I've talked to people, gathered up intel, you know, and yeah, yeah, the goalpost will always be moved with you because you're not the right black. Is like I mentioned, a couple weeks ago with Tabia Lee, who was she wasn't university, it was community college in California, community college level at a professor, or she was a head of a department there for their diversity and inclusion. And of course, the Black Lesbian Matters, BLM, Alicia Garza kind of bumped heads with her. And then she basically realized, hey, you're not the right black, you know. And a lot of these people, these mixed race people, they eventually, at some point in time, they come to that conclusion. So she's expressing it in a different way. I've never cried like that and had tears like that, um, analyzing this stuff, but I definitely did a lot of soul searching. I could tell you that. when I had my wake up call and I realized, okay, where do I pivot and navigate from here? Because I was like, I spent a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of resources like advocating for this group, this demographic at the bottom of society. Um, and I, tried to find a home there, a community, so to speak. Where do I go from here? Right. I was in that position, soul searching. Um, but yeah, let me continue on. Fair use, fair use.
But our world only accepts ignorance.
Pause. She said, but our world only accept ignorance. That's not true. It's her circle and it's the people she's trying to appease, the people she thought because they'll take all your leaders, even you, the gold medalist, all the tabloids, the publications are going to say black, Sydney McLaughlin, black, gold. She got a white mother, some mulatto woman. But I mean, they're going to take all your wins. Okay. Everything a mulatto does, every black person, well, yeah, it's a black man invented the blood bank. Okay. But as soon as you're prettier than them, you look better than them, you overachieve them, you outperform them, all of a sudden it's a conspiracy theory. The white man's using mulattoes, light skin privilege. All of a sudden they come up with the pseudoscience explanations. And so they'll claim all your wins, like her. They're gonna talk about her like, oh, well, she got a black father, so she's a black win. And so yeah, they'll claim all that. So the world, what I'm saying is that it doesn't support ignorance. It's her circle. When you're surrounded by those people and you want their acceptance, they're going to drag you into that crab bucket. Okay. Yeah. They're going to drag you into their ignorance and they're going to want you to fight their battles. You got to use your light skin privilege to uplift them so they can uplift themselves and step on you, you know? And, yeah. So the world, she got to change her circle, man. She's going through this right now. She's a young woman, extremely accomplished. She's going to figure it out. I already knew, I could tell, shedding some tears, kind of venting, right? She's definitely a strong person. You don't, like I said, you don't achieve that, get gold medals. I mean, it takes so much work. Um, that in itself is like a lifelong accomplishment. Pretty sure her parents, yeah, I know for sure, they're extremely proud of her. Yeah. So continuing on, fair use.
And it hurts my feelings, and I find it really disrespectful that you can do everything right and it'll never be enough.
Pause. Yeah, you do everything right. It's never enough. Like I said, there's a lot of positive, good people here. She has to change kind of her circles and who she's trying to appease. She's trying to appease the bottom dwellers, okay? The victim mindset, the permanent underclass. She's trying to appease them, right? So she can get fake acceptance in return. So that's what she has to kind of check. Um, Damn, what was I going to say? I lost a thought there. Apologize.
And it'll never be enough.
That's what it is. It'll never be enough. Now that she's referring to the goalpost, you know, the carrot on the stick that's waved in front of the biracial and the mixed race person is acceptance into a community, right? That's the carrot on the stick. And so when she's talking about it's never going to be enough, like what is she talking about? This lady, you're on the right track. I mean, you just got married, you have a gold medal, you broke a world record, you're like one of the fastest people on the planet. Like you have so many accomplishments. Like what does she mean? I'm trying to get the mindset right. She's talking about the world loves negativity, not positivity. But I'm like, well, there's a demographic that you identify with that you want to appease. They're gonna pull your ass down into the crab bucket to serve for eternity. Like I said, while they step on your ass, use you and leapfrog over you to be closer to their massa, right? So that's the interesting thing. Yeah. Let me continue on. Fair use, fair use. Yeah, well, before I continue on, the component of it, like I want to repeat it, I'm going to reiterate. She said it's never enough. It's never no, it's the goalpost, the carrot on the stick, waved in front of your head, this fake little acceptance, right? Um, that's what she's referring to, right? Continuing on, fair use, fair use.
There's still always a problem with you. And I say all of this to say This season has been such a test of my faith, because even in a moment where I should have made everything about me, I gave it to God. But just like people reject truth. I know they're not rejecting me, they're rejecting Jesus living in me, and that's fine, but
No, ma'am, they're rejecting you. Okay. Now they want you around if they can use you, right? Now, I'm not saying all. I don't know her personal situation or anybody else's personal situation. I'm just kind of broadly, generally speaking. Yeah, they want you around if they can claim all your wins, that gold medal and proximity to you so they can get closer to their massa. So yeah, they're not rejecting Jesus. I know she's heavily devoted to her faith. I get it. But no, they're rejecting you because they're so envious of you and jealous. They're so jealous and envious of mulattoes. You see, the only people really who fought for them have literally got them out of slavery. If it wasn't for mulattoes, they'd still be slaves in America, right? And they'll only, so I mean, let me continue on before I get in trouble. Fair use, fair use.
I'm just being honest. Like, sometimes my flesh has a problem with that. And I'm so grateful that I have a relationship with God the way that I do, because without it, I think I would honestly be going crazy right now. Like, there's so many things I just don't understand about the world, about our sport, about our culture.
Culture. Yeah. The thing is because your parents are not well equipped to help you deal with the reality of the world, the tribalistic nature of the world you're living in. Okay. And your parents, got together in their union, right? Of black and white, and basically took this American stance. Like, this is, 2000 and whatever, 20. This is, this isn't the 1950s. This is, land of the free and all the other stuff. But I'm saying is that a lot of people, they're blindsided and they don't fully equip their children with the truth. They just say, just be a good person, be a good Christian, work hard. Everything will be all right. She did that. She achieved what most people would not achieve, getting a gold medal at the Olympics, okay, beating, world records, good moral, upstanding citizen, good Christian, level-headed. She's very careful with her social media on what she shares and what she wants to promote, her image, right? She does all those things good, but there's still something missing. And the culture she just laid out is because, yeah, I feel like a lot of us, especially those of us, if we directly, our parents they don't equip us with the right skill sets, and I don't know what's the word to describe it. They don't give us a kind of roadmap of life and where we can fall in line with for success. A lot of us, do. If we have fathers, we can, go into the trades or follow our father's footsteps, or in some cases, people they follow their mother, whatever business was passed down. A lot of people turn out good. A lot of people don't. But it seems like she had all the right people in her life, right? Christian faith, good family, got the Olympic, the most successful in her field, getting the gold medal as a standard. So all those things are right. But at the same time, there's something missing, right? The cultural component. And I think that's key with parents, and with their children, raising their children in this world, especially if they're two monoracial parents, black and white. They're going to raise their biracial child. And it's like they want to instill in their child this kind of kumbaya and all this stuff. And then here she is, 24 years old, crying in her car, talking about acceptance, being a right person, but it's never good enough. Very interesting. I'm going to continue on. Appreciate you guys being here. If you guys, those of you that are here, Appreciate if you hit the like button. And if you're in the chat or you're watching the clouds, say what's up, type in the chat. I got the link dropped. So if you want to jump on the panel, ask me questions, or comment on this video, feel free to do so. I'm going to continue on. Fair use, fair use.
It makes no sense a lot of the time. And I genuinely don't feel like I attack people. I don't feel like I'm rude to or mean to people. I don't talk trash about people. But it always seems to come to me. And
Pause. So yeah, it's a doggy dog world, seems like, right? It's like she's not looking for trouble, but trouble finds her, and it kind of seems like she's ill-equipped to deal with it, right? That's interesting, you know. And it could be because the people you're looking to appease and get acceptance from, they could see you as a potential mark, is a term that a lot of them use, a mark, right? Easy target, essentially, right? Yeah, fair use.
I could do nothing to so many people, and that offends them.
Very interesting, right? You could do nothing, just your presence. You're good looking, smooth talking, pretty mulatto woman. Okay. You don't have to do nothing to them. Just your presence at a biological level infuriates them. I know who she's talking about. Okay. Just you being there in the same room, and they're going to give you the attention. Okay. They're going to pay attention to you. They're going to want to get closer to you, be around you. There's a lot of people, they're so jealous and so envious of you that they will literally try to destroy you. And you got to protect yourself. Okay. There's a lot of people out there who don't like my delivery or think I'm too harsh. I don't give a shit. Calling a spade over here. And of course, I do the honors. I allow people to challenge, when it's warranted, when I feel like, engaging, which tonight is one of those nights. So for sure. Continuing on, fair use, fair use.
I can post everything right. I can say everything right. I can do everything right. I can mind my business. And it offends people.
Yeah, because they wish they were you, right? They literally wish they were you. Even Dr. Umar Johnson, I hate to keep bringing him up, but we got to talk a lot about him. As long as you have these kind of pro-black conspiracy theorists out here, talking about mixed race people or mulattoes, and they're putting this kind of conspiratorial agenda placed on us, we're going to have to talk about it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, for all you little, SJW coon lottos who want to kind of dance around, go ahead and do that, but just stay the fuck out of my way. Okay. And I think a lot of you kind of already know that too. That's why I kind of pushed you to the side. Yeah. Continuing on, fair use.
And you know what? I'm so grateful I don't live for the approval of people anymore, because
Well, I think she's kind of just came to that kind of epiphany moment in conclusion, looking at her eyes, kind of that stare, that kind of gaze she's looking at. I think she's basically having that, what I call the biracial wake up call, right? Mulatto wake up call, epiphany moment, where, yeah, now she's not going to live for the approval of others, right? All the tears she's shedding, that was the past, right? Living for the approval of the communitah, for the fake acceptance, right? To be invited to the cookout. So that's what all those tears came from. She wiped them away, and she's like, you know what? Yeah, I can't get your guys' approval anymore. Yeah, continuing on, fair use.
moments like this would have me down for about 3 weeks of not understanding why even some of my family, some of my closest friends aren't more happy for me in this moment. Why people that you thought were your supporters are actually finding ways to low-key throw shots at you. Like, they're finding a problem with everything. Can never just have a moment to just really just celebrate and just breathe. But I'm so grateful I don't live for that anymore. Because if I did, my tank would be so empty. And the perspective of knowing that none of this matters.
Yeah, yes and no, right? It does matter because she's learning a lot through this reflection. And the thing is, what's good about this, why which I applaud her for it, because it takes a lot of courage and she's showcasing it to the whole world, her experience. Now, some people take it, I mean, if you look at the comments in the video, a lot of people are kind of looking at it. The title is Athletes Deserve Respect and all this stuff. And, you kind of look at the comments, you're like, okay. Now, for me watching this, when she's going to say something in a minute or so, it kind of clicked. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I get it. I understand what she's talking about, where she's coming from. Because this is called the biracial wake up call, which I could have put that as the title of the video, but, you know, I chose, Olympic gold medalist kind of sounds more appealing, Gaslit for being light skinned, which essentially, falls in line, but it's the biracial wake up call. So it does matter. She just said that this all doesn't matter. It's like, yeah, in the long run, but it's a great learning experience. And like I said, I applaud her because, I can talk about it. And then, of course, I can kind of give you my, perspective on it and I can share it with the public. So more people, I know a lot of my audience, they haven't seen this. I barely saw this till a few days ago. And this video is from a year ago. So a lot of people are going to see this and they're going to feel a certain kind of way from it and they can learn from it. It's a learning experience, all right? A learning moment, which is a beautiful thing. Continuing on, fair use.
Oh my, it's life changing. It is life changing. Let me tell you, humans, we were not made to carry so much weight. We were not made to carry so much attention on us. We were not made to be famous. Like, that was never what God intended for us, guys. Ever. The only person who's strong enough to carry that is Jesus. And when I say I'm grateful for the platform and I'm grateful to be able to reach people. But I don't want it. Like, when I tell you I don't want fame, I don't want any of that. It's
Pause. And the thing is, it's her merit, her work ethic, which is literally, helped her fame. Yeah, she's good looking, but I know, literally hundreds of mulattoes who are at her level, especially when she lets it curl out, then it's like, okay, yeah, then it's good, you know. But yeah, I mean, as far as the looks or her being light skinned, it's like, really, no, it's her work ethic, right? Extremely accomplished. I mean, after I'm done with this clip, I can probably share some more information or some pictures or whatever, but I don't even think it's really that necessary. She's extremely accomplished, right? So, yeah, yeah. So her work, the fame she has, what I'm saying, is because of who she is, her work ethic. It's not because of how she looks, but the people she wants to appease, they're gonna tell her that. They're gonna try to bully her, right? And tell her, oh, it's you got where you're at because how you look. Let's get right into it. Fair use, fair use.
toxic. It genuinely physically makes me sick. When I got back on social media for not being on for 3 or 4 weeks before the trials, I started getting anxiety because you look and you're looking at what everybody else is doing, what everyone else is posting, how many followers they have, and it physically makes you sick. I don't want that. I don't want the fame. I would just like a little bit of respect. We don't have to be best friends. You may not agree with my message, but in the sport, at the age of 21, to be a 2-time Olympian and a world record holder, I would just like a little bit of respect.
Just some respect, right? Young age, right? I just checked, I double checked. She's actually 23 right now currently. So I was off by a year. And this video was a year ago. She said she was 21. So yeah, I mean, she's very young, extremely accomplished, but she wants respect. And then you want respect from people who don't even respect themselves, right? You know, so that's kind of the interesting thing. You kind of have to reflect and look at things from the grand scale, take a step back and be like, do I expect much from, these people, right? Do you expect much from people who like literally quite frankly, hate themselves. I mean, if you kind of look at the current position, current predicament, look at all the stats, you can blame it all on the magical white man that they all love and worship, but you look, it's a self-esteem, it's a value system that's literally non-existent, or a destructive value system. Um that's so that's why there's a lack of self-respect, right? So she wants respect from people who don't respect themselves. So that's something that she's definitely going to look at deeper. Continuing on, fair use, fair use. We're right at the meat of this whole 10 minute and 48-second clip. We're getting right there. Appreciate you guys being here. Once again, hit the like button if you haven't. Continuing on, fair use.
Just a little bit. You guys could have all that other stuff.
The tears are pouring out of her eyes. The thesis, the precipice, the pinnacle of her everything that's she was feeling from the beginning when she pushed, record, until now. It took her all the way to the end of her vent to get to the real meat of the matter. But you see the tears, her eyes are watering up. She's like, "You can keep everything else. I just want the respect." But sweetheart, don't expect to get respect from people who don't respect themselves. It's a life lesson we're all going to have to learn one day. Just be honored and blessed that you're getting this lesson sooner than a lot of other people. Okay, I say that about myself. When I started uploading videos and giving my commentary, like, I'm just happy I had my wake up call a lot sooner than other people, because I would be really down if it happened to me when I was in my 40s or past that, and I realized, what the hell, you know. So continuing on, fair use. Here we go, guys. Get ready.
Basketball is back.
Not quite. It's times like this where that it was a $15 subscription is definitely gonna make me look more established, right? Here we go.
People really
See that? That's it, this, throughout this whole clip, she's holding back the tears, she wipes it off, because it took her a lot of courage to publicly say this, right? But she's gonna get into it right now, which is, very, very interesting. Fair use.
think that I'm standing here today because of my followers or because of how I look.
Popularity, right? She said, "People think I'm here today because of my followers or how I look," right? Yeah, continuing on, fair use.
It blows my mind. People who have been my teammates, who have watched me die every day at practice, believe I'm standing here today because I have followers.
People within her own team, her own teammates, who she said have watched her sweat and, bleed in practice. A lot of them think she's where she is with her gold medal and all her accolades because of her followers. I didn't even know who the hell this woman was until I saw this clip. I might have seen her in some publication. Like I said, as a mulatto, I mean, standard, yeah, she's very attractive, yeah. But I mean, I didn't know who she was until now, to be honest with you. I don't follow the sport too. That's, a major indicator. But I checked her IG. She's got 1 million followers. So that kind of says a lot as a young woman too. But I even talked about with the lady over on TikTok, Jasmine. She's got almost 1 million followers on, yeah, TikTok, and she's like what, 22, around the same age as her, but obviously kind of different professions, right? But yeah, continuing on, fair use, guys, getting right into it.
Because I'm light skinned.
You guys hear that? Let me rewind it and play it again. I think I kind of paused it a little too soon, but that's literally the, you know, the whole meat of the matter. The tears, she couldn't hold the tears back. And it took her literally 9 minutes out of this 10-minute plus clip to say what she was really feeling all along. She had to hold it in, but I'm very thankful that she's has the courage to let this be known. So we can, like I said, we can analyze it, observe it, and share our perspective on it. Because a lot of us have been there. I mean, I wasn't crying, not to brag, but I've had a lot of situations. Now with me, it's with the men. You're trying to build kind of camaraderie, brotherhood, so to speak, with the men, and it's the same thing, the jealousy and envy. They hate themselves so much. They're so jealous and envious of you. They will literally destroy everything in their path, you know. And with you, it's similar, but it's with the ladies, right? Let me continue on. Fair use, fair use.
Believe I'm standing here today because I have followers. Because I'm light skinned.
Right there. Yeah. And of course, the popularity, the followers, to them, the people who are making her cry and trying to bully her, make her feel bad, it's because she has light skin, right? That's their argument. Well, you have followers and fame. To them, it's like, okay, yeah, you have followers and fame because you're light skin. But then they're saying that, well, she's accomplished her, she beat world records and she's got her gold medal because she has followers. So everything, it all goes back to her appearance and what she looks like, right? And she's a woman. I mean, she's in her, like I said, I think she said she's 21 or 22 when she posted this video. But it's like, it's almost like you're still in high school. You're letting these girls bully you. But the thing is, with her, it kind of breaks her heart because these are people, like she said, that are supposed to be close to her on her team, that have seen her, work her rear end off in practice every day, right? They're supposed to be close to her. She has faith in them. She's trusted them. And now that's trust and that faith has been kind of broken. And she's crying. It's going to force her to be harder. It happened to me too, man. I mean, like I said, wasn't crying or anything like that. But I had to really become harder. I was like, okay, it's a cutthroat world, man. Family is everything. And, yeah, and that's, I kind of I realized that myself too, that the experiences I was having, it was only going to make me harder, in a good way for survival, if that makes sense, guys. um but yeah, continuing on, she's gonna say it again. We're almost done here, guys. Fair use.
I can't control what color my skin is.
Pause. She says she can't control what color of her skin is, but who is bringing up this skin color argument today? Okay, this isn't a 1950s video. This video was in 2023. Today is 2023. I believe this video was, yeah, published a year ago, 2022. Who do you hear from today that cries the fucking most about skin color? All this whole dark skin versus light skin and all. I don't do skin color content. My content is mulatto content, right? The beautiful thing about us is we have different skin tone variations. It's funny when you hear some of these communitah people talk about black comes in all shades, and no, it doesn't. You basically got just black, you got kind of a lighter brown, and then you got like albino, which is a melanin deficient kind of situation. But no, it doesn't come in all shades. You clearly have people who are ambiguous, who have admixture, right? There was another clip, I think I'm going to talk about it sometime this week, about this guy who's, clearly mixed race, but he said he's radically black. But you have those, obviously, people out here playing games at everyone. But I'm telling you, in today, let me turn right back around because I don't want to ramble. But in 2023, who did you hear white people talk about all the skin color stuff today? I don't. I don't. Yeah, maybe it prior, you know, the whole brown paper bag thing. Yeah, they had that. But today, who upholds a brown paper bag? Literally black people and African Americans. Let me be specific and specify. I'm not talking about black people in Europe. I'm not talking about black people in the Caribbean or black people in Africa, South America. I'm talking about the FBA ADOS blacks in America. Who upholds a brown paper bag test? They do. Okay. Not white society. So like I said, she's not judged based off her merit. Remember, Martin Luther King talked about the content of your character, not the color of your skin. See, that was old world paradigm talk for your civil rights people, your boomers, and all that stuff. Today in 2023, the communitah doesn't give a shit about your merit. If you're a good person, you're decent, hardworking, as they've displayed with this lady, they don't give a shit about that. They care about the color of your skin. Oh, she's a dark skinned queen. You wear your crown. It's all about how dark you are, right? If they want to use you to represent them. I'm calling a spade a spade. If you have a problem, hit the link, put a comment, let me know what you think. I know some of you are gonna cry in silence or whatever, but this channel is gonna grow, so it doesn't matter. Eventually I'll hear from you. And this is basically what it is. Basically what it is. I don't see white people talking about the skin tone shit. I really don't, because in the United States of America, you got people. I'm a mulatto man, biracial, black and white, and there's a lot of people darker than me that are not. They are not African people of African descent, right? They're either Asian, like Filipino, or there's been some Vietnamese that have been way darker than me, man. I'm serious. So people in Asia, and then obviously like Samoan, East Indians, and even Latino, Mexican people. There's a lot of people darker complected than me that don't have any African blood or roots. That's literally visible from what I can see. I know blacks, they're gonna claim everybody, claim the whole world, but their own children, because that's their way of trying to get cultural influence. Oh, you come from black people, claim the whole damn world, but your own children. 70+% out of wedlock birth rate. And so that's what I'm saying. When she talks about, people judging her because of her skin, do you think it's white people? Do you really? She's got a white mom. She's been raised in that I can tell that, her presentation, how she carries herself. She was raised around civilized, reasonable, decent people. And good for her. That's why she's accomplishing a lot. But they're not going to talk about the culture. Okay. They're going to say, oh, it's because you're light skinned, you got a gold medal and following. Those people, okay, the people you're trying to appease, right? They grew up in some little shithole hood, wherever it is. They're not going to say it's because your mom raised you right in a caring environment, your Christian belief, your hard work ethic. Oh, no, no, no. Those people, you know, um, they're going to say it's because you light skin, you got privileges. I'm telling you, when you're in those circles, there's going to be a lot of whining and crying and, have fun. And of course, it goes back to the comment that I put on the community post about the, you know, biracial baby mamas, right? Looking for acceptance in a communitah, protection from the darker skinned queens, right? But what I'm also hearing is interesting is that some of them, I guess, if there's a certain criteria, see, because like she said, it's never good enough, which of course we say over here, moving the goalpost. A lot of people say that, but there's a specific criteria now that's been established over the past couple years. A lot of these psycho black female supremacist types, what they're basically saying now is, well, if your mama is black, then you're one of the good ones, right? Which is funny because they're purposely basically excluding the majority. They want a hand-picked kind of minority um, that they can utilize and use against everyone else, right? Because you're going to be a tool for them, right? And what the reason why they say that, because they feel like you're going to be more inclined to serve and worship black women. So you'll be a good stooge. So they're carefully selecting. They're like, okay, look, like the divestors, I'm saying, the black female supremacist divestors, or what we call the dust vestors, right? That's basically what they're going to push, right? And now she'd be okay. She'd be cool if her mama was black, because they feel like she'd be on her knees kissing black ass. Because I see that a lot from these people. They're biracial mulatto. If they got a black mom, they're literally, not all, but a lot of them are literally, you know, they're on their knees serving black women, which is a travesty. And I think some of those people, they're going to try to put it in a position where that I'm doing the same, but in reversed. I'm like, really? Where do you see that on this channel? Where do you see anything that literally upholds black men above anybody? This is a mulatto channel. I'm a mulatto man. Okay. And if not, I promote the women more than the men. Of course, I'm straight, you know. But that's what I'm saying. So there's a lot of projection. Um, but in her position with the Queens trying to get acceptance, like I said, there's a small window of opportunity where they're like, okay, we'll accept you. They kind of move the goalpost, change the criteria, but you got to have black mom, right? Because they feel like you'll worship their rear end, and they can, you'll serve them and be their stooge. I don't know how good it's going to work out. I've been hearing a lot of the rhetoric and analyzing certain talking points. A lot of these women are fucking idiots, okay? These dust vesters. So they're not smart. They can't eloquently explain this whole fraudulent Eve Jean rhetoric that they push. And I'm looking at some of the stuff like, okay, it's not, it's not really going to work out. But like I said, they know biracials, they want a community. A lot of these mulattoes are lost. They want a sense of belonging. They want a community. So the black women have got a lot of them, the dust festers on the internet. They've got together and are like, okay, look, we don't. They're the preference. Black men want them more than us, right? Because black men prefer mulattoes more than their own dark skinned women. We all know that. That's why they're called the preference. So they're inherently going to be jealous of you, but they're like, look, we can kind of put the jealousy to the side for a second. But if you have a black mom, okay, yeah, you'll serve us. So then we can use you, right? We're gonna get more into that shit on this channel and other channels as well. So all you little dust vesters and creepers who are tuning in, yeah, I'm gonna be on your ass in the future. So continuing on with this clip, fair use, fair use.
I can't control who presses the follow button, but I can control what I do on that track. And that's the thing that doesn't get the respect and it belongs.
Yeah, the merit base. She can control what she does on that track, which is beat everybody else, be faster than everybody else, right? Work hard, stretch, train every day, diet, you know. She can control that, but she can't control who follows her. So she's almost being put in this position to feel sorry that she has more social media followers and more status than her probably darker skinned, uglier friends, which is sad because there's a lot of pretty dark skinned women, a lot. But a lot of them are vile and vicious when they get around these mulatto women, the preference, right? They're jealous. Um, and so a lot of these women, and the reason why it's congruent with the community post, and when I'm done with this clip, I'll go back to that post because she married into blackness. But here she is, even then doing that, she's still crying. Now, she married into blackness because she wanted that obviously sense of community belonging, but she also wanted protection from the darker skinned women who probably told her all through high school, her life, if she grew up around those schools. It seems like to me she probably grew up around white people, which would make sense to why where she is, where she's at today with those gold medals. Because if she grew up in some shithole, communitah, she'd probably be a baby mama loser like the multifacial hood rat or one of these other idiots. But continuing on, fair use, fair use.
Blows my mind.
Venting out. It took her that long, 9 minutes to spill the beans, right? And this is a good learning life lesson for us.
Sick world. There's so much.
And it's not a sick world. I know she has this negative outlook where she's like, well, most people, society promotes negativity. I don't look at it like that, to be honest with you. I'm really trying really hard now to surround myself with good people. Even I look at my channel, like I have a few people watching, but the cloud watchers, if they're, I got people I don't want here. I do have people that are banned from this channel. Not a large list, is a small channel. I've only been uploading content for about 8 months or so, maybe a month longer. So I'm fairly new as a content creator, and I'm just, impromptu learning every day as I go along. And fuck, what was I gonna say? Yeah, fuck, I don't know. Apologize, guys. Continuing on, just about done. Fair use, fair use.
Good in this world, but there's so much sickness.
There you go. Pause. It's that kind of negative mindset that she's having here. She's venting out. Obviously, she has all the leeway in the world. This is a gold medalist, so people are going to open up the door for her and everything. But she talks about how the world only wants to spread negativity, and she talks about it's a sick world. I know she's upset right now, obviously, clearly crying. What I want to say is in regards to my channel here, it's a small channel. I'm learning every day how to be a better content creator. I haven't even been doing this for a year yet. But what it is I try to do a very good job of controlling who is over here, right? Obviously, this is a public platform. This isn't a mulatto only channel. This channel is an educational channel. It's for the public. But what I stress here is that for a community of people who are black and white, mixed race, to congregate and have a sense of community. It's a YouTube channel, but obviously with this platform, it spirals off and ventures off into other avenues. So it's a public platform. What I'm saying is so I'm not excluding people, but I do a very good job of, making sure the right people are over here. Meaning in the chat, when I was saying there's cloud watchers, there's probably some haters or someone I already banned. I don't want their ass to even comment over here. So if I blocked you, your ass deserved it for being all uppity and stupid with me. Um, which is funny because people who blocked me or whatever, I don't watch any of their shit. I don't want to give them any views or any of that stuff. Um, but I think I do a good job. I think the people I have over here that jump on the panels, that I allow on the panels and all that stuff, that comment, I get mostly good people, which I really like. So I'm surrounding myself. What I'm saying is I'm trying to surround myself with good people. So it's not a sick world. I just have to make sure I have the right people, good people around me who spreads positivity. Like I shared that, last week with Anne Frank. I shared that quote from her basically saying, happy people make other people happy. It's very basic, simple, and cliche, but it's just 100% the facts. Surrounding yourself, happy people make people happy. So continuing on, we're just about done. Fair use.
I pray for healing, man. I really hope that people can see that they don't have to live in this world of just hate. There's such a better way. Whew. So nice little vent session.
Good little vent session. That was just about it. So I'm going to segue back into the community post that I put because everything she said there was extremely congruent with some of the thoughts that I had earlier in regards to the little comment that I made that got about 8 likes. Shout out to all you guys hitting that like button. That does help indeed. So here we go back to my initial post about 10 hours ago. Biracial hood booger politics. Clearly, this lady, the Sydney McLaughlin, she is not a hood booger, right? Clearly, like I said. But there is some things that are kind of connected as well as her position, her predicament, because she essentially married into blackness. Now, love is love. You love who you want to love, right? Um, but I see that as a common trend of what I've started to analyze over the years. And it comes with this acceptance, community, and protection component. So let me get into this right here. Many biracial women seek protection from dark-skinned black women. A lot of them will go run to dark-skinned black men, seeking for acceptance, community, and protection from dark-skinned black women. Unfortunately, a lot of them end up as baby mamas when they go that route, and the rest of society ends up laughing at them for continuing the communitah cycle of dysfunction, pathology, and failure. It is what it is, right? That's me right there with my hands up, like shit. I don't care. I can talk about it. But it's congruent in a way because of Sydney McLaughlin. I can't comment on, really get into detail about her personal. Like I said, I barely even knew the woman, who she was until the video was shared. I don't know. But it seems like to me, looking at some of the, images and stories and videos I'm seeing, it's like, yeah, she wanted to marry into blackness, which of course is a pathway into a community for a lot of biracial mulatto people. It's always been presented that way. Blacks will, yeah, you can come to the cookout. You just got to let us absorb you. You got to, you got to be subordinate or literally be absorbed by that monoculture, right? Where it's funny because I've talked to people like even Toenail Breaker, who's a contributor here on the channel, where even I think his analysis, I kind of agree. He's well traveled, more traveled than me, obviously older and stuff like that. But he's even said in himself too that he kind of feels like in a white society, in a white group, white culture, you can be a mixed race person, and there is no need to be absorbed. You can kind of be your own, which I kind of agree with. But there is a level of assimilation with all groups. I definitely feel like that. You can kind of be an outlier or stuff like that, but there is definitely a simulation that is kind of pushed. But I definitely feel like in the Black American culture, the communitah, there's this kind of need to just absorb you, right? Or eliminate. It's like you're a problem. We can't just let you be in our group. Like, oh, you're a spy. You're a biracial spy, or an agent is what the pro wax will say. You're an agent. Well, what am I spying on? I mean, you have nothing of any, you know, there's no real military strategic, there's no value I'm going to get from you. It's just purely entertainment. What am I spying on, right? That's what I always have to ask. It's funny, the spy, they're spying on us. You biracial, you're an agent. um but I feel like in white society you can kind of be your own, right? In other societies as well, perhaps, but obviously me, those are the two groups that I have more intimacy and intimate knowledge of, right? um yeah. So a lot of that right there, basically I see this common, and it plays out different ways. Like I said, Sydney, different situation, obviously, strong faith, religious belief, work ethic. She's a high level, world class athlete, Olympic gold medalist. Most people can achieve that. So, in that case, she's challenged, competed with other women across the planet. And she's shown she's the best. But a lot of her, darker skinned counterparts are crying and jealous, telling her, it's because you light skin. Why you got that gold medal? Why you got social media following? You're not even that good. You just basic. So, and a lot of the formation I've seen on the internet, interwebs, I've seen because a lot of women have had these discussions, right? So they've come to the internet to talk about being mixed race and ambiguous, right? From what I've seen, I don't know. A lot of the men, I don't really see the discussion a lot. A lot of men want to be absorbed, or a lot of men are just simply simps and fucking hyenas and punks, to be honest with you. Or they accept a weaker position. I don't know, because to me, you're in a competitive society and I want my own shit. You know, I'm not trying to be a subordinate under other groups, right? And so yeah, I said a whole lot there. And like I said, this is congruent with that. This is just my thoughts. I know some of you guys, you might comment or you might not. Regardless, you're still going to hear me bring this up in the future, as I think this is a continuing theme that we definitely see. So, yeah, that's basically what I have for you guys this evening. I don't, well, I guess I can kind of share some images of her real quick to close it out. I have some other clips planned. Yeah, I don't want to get into that clip today. I'll do it another time. But yeah, so this is her right here, obviously gold medal. I just found out who she was a few days ago, man. I don't know. I don't follow the sport, but she's fast, right? World records. So definitely, for me personally, I'd be more favorable. So if her hair was like this, I'd be like, oh yeah, she's probably like an 8 on a beauty scale, just my own personal scale. I'd say yeah, she's probably about an 8 because of her hair. Yeah, her hair makes a big difference. When she's like this, it's like ah yeah, you're like a 6 or a 7. I'm just giving my personal opinion. No shade, but I definitely kind of have a more higher preference for the curls. But that's just, yeah, she has the beauty, she has the aesthetic, but she's obviously well accomplished in her craft, right? She's beat world records, gold medal. Yeah, nobody hands you that shit. Tokyo 2020 Olympics. You don't it's not a beauty contest. It's not because you're light skinned and pretty that you get that gold medal. It's because you're faster than everybody else, you know? But I mean, the people she thought she can connect with, but you got a white mom. Maybe if your mama was black, you'd probably be on your knees, kissing their ass, like a lot of them do. But because your mom's white, yeah, you got to work hard, and your hard work pays off. The world has noticed it. It's a good world. It's not a sick, sad world. It's a good world. The world's noticed it. You've been awarded merit based, society been awarded for your hard work, and yeah, and your social media following that goes along with that, which you can leverage because that's an audience that you have. And So cheers and kudos to her, right? So yeah, cheers and kudos to her. I don't know what else is there to say. So yeah, she has really nice hair here. But yeah, cheers to her. It's definitely something that we can learn from her experience. I think yeah, it's these type of discussions. Oh, I got someone in on it. Okay. Hey, what's up, Al show? What's going on?
Hello, how are you?
Hey, I'm pretty good.
So I guess she got criticized. This Olympic athlete got criticized. Um,
Yeah, she was brought to tears because a lot of her darker skinned black teammates were telling her that she's only popular and she only has a large social media following because she's lighter skinned. So they're basically trying to bully her and shame her for being a hard worker, saying it's because she has light skin. That's basically the situation.
well, social media, I don't really take. I know I'm on social media, but I don't do that as often or anything. Um, so in and of itself, but I think it depends. Does she consider herself biracial, or does she consider herself part of African American community?
That's a great question. Based on her kind of mating choices, I guess it's kind of, you know, fair to say she's probably more so black identified. I haven't looked too deep into it, which obviously I'm hearing an echo. I don't know if it's your
Oh,
mic or what.
I don't know. I'm not hearing anything.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, I'm saying I haven't looked really too deep into it, but how she identifies, but the interesting thing about that is people kind of switch back and forth a lot. I've noticed that talking with other biracial people, they'll be like, "Well, I'm mixed identified or I'm biracial." So, you know, you kind of have to look at people's actions and words and make your assessment based off that a
right.
lot. Then from the
The
horse's
reason,
mouth, because people lie a
right.
lot. Sorry, go ahead.
No, the reason I say that is, and I've said this before, how you deal with things as a biracial person in this country will depend on where you stand, what your background is, what your community experience in terms of community was, and what you do now. So, because you're back, your childhood, your adolescence, and all of that help determine that. And that's why the community aspect, there's family and community. The community aspect is important because it shapes it helps shape how you are seen, and also how you see yourself in the context of everyone else. How people treat you, how they see you, whether they relate to you or not, or all of that. That's why I asked whether she saw herself as, or whether she was identified as a biracial person or lives as a biracial person as opposed to a African American person. Because if you're biracial and you're trying to live as an African American person, you're going to have to deal with the slings and arrows that come with being in the communities.
And that's
If you
what
live in
she's
those
having to
communities.
deal with now. She has come to that realization with her current predicament. Well, that was a year ago, but that's basically something she's kind of having to realize. If you want to be in that community, those are those slings and arrows, right? The basically, I'm jealous because you're light skinned and you only got that because you're light skinned and you're mixed and Massa likes you better and it's not fair, you're not black like me. People are nicer to you. So yeah, she's basically experiencing that. I'd like to see an update or if there's anything else in the future, any kind of future, revelation that she discloses, I'd like to see that.
See, that's why, and I've done this for some time, that's why I've always tried to tell a number of biracial people, you have to be very careful when it comes to dealing with monoracial communities. it's a delicate situation because you can do absolutely nothing and there will be people who hate your guts. You could
Right.
be the nicest
Exactly.
person in the world, lovely, wonderful, treat everyone well, no ego, no narcissism, no attitude, no feeling of superiority, nothing that they say often with biracial people, right? It's always oh, you think you're better than we are, or
Right.
you
Right.
think you're superior to us, or all of that. Because I've gotten that on YouTube myself.
You know what,
You,
Al? You know what I tell them now? I'm like, "You're right. Yes, I do think I'm better than you." They don't like
oh,
that. Well,
jeez. Oh, man.
they
Oh,
don't
you're going to piss
expect that.
people off with that.
They don't
But
expect that because they
but
expect you
it's
to cower
yeah,
and fight
but
for
you're calling their bluff. When
Yeah.
people say that to you, you're calling their bluff. Oh yeah, I agree. Would
Damn
I
right
say
I'm
that?
better than you.
No, because I don't say that because that doesn't matter to me. It's irrelevant. But that's why I say this is one of the reasons. I'll keep saying this. You have to be very careful in dealing with racial communities, whether you are mulatto, whether you're other kind of biracial or not. You have to be very careful because the time will come. Someone said this to me in a biracial group. I never forgot it. He said, there will be a time when Black people will tell you you're not Black. And I knew that was true. And I've seen it with other people. And that's one of the things that I try to bring out to people is like, you have to understand that if you are a biracial person in a African American community, that you, no matter what happens, you have to understand that people are, at the end of the day, they know you're not one of them. Even if they're nice about it, even if they're kind, even then they're going to know. And that's where it gets confusing. And it becomes this catch-22.
Now,
This is
let
one of
me
the
ask
reasons
you
I've said, go ahead.
let me cut you off for a second. I wanted to
Yeah,
ask you
go ahead.
something. Now, you talked about the confusing thing, which I agree. It can be confusing because they want to claim you, they want all your wins, they want to be able to kind of use you, so to speak. Now, let me tell you this. Now, who's more confused? Is it the biracial mulatto person who's been socialized by black people that they're just black and then, or is it black people who are the confused ones who want to pick and choose which ones are kind of cool to claim? Like, because in my opinion, I've come to the realization that it's primarily black people who are the confused one, not mulattoes, biracials, because a lot of us, we've been socialized in a lot of different ways in society, not just by white society, but by black society, who will claim us and say we're black. Well, you're just black like me. But it's like, you tell me, what do you think? I know I said a lot right there, but who's confused? Mixed race people
I,
or black people, generally speaking?
I I have to be honest at this point, after sort of years of looking at these issues on groups and so forth, and more recently on YouTube, I've come to the conclusion that it's both. I think that African Americans or Black Americans are confused. And I think there are biracials that can be confused. And I think it's both, depending on the biracial. It depends on how they're raised and what community they brought up and so forth. But
That's a
I think
key.
it's really both.
Yeah,
It's
I
both.
have to agree. I think it's both for sure, but I'm definitely leaning more so the confusion is with black people. Maybe it's bias on my part. But what you said is key with it depends on the biracial person. Now, I feel like there's a lot of biracial people who have only were enculturated through blackness, meaning specifically mulatto, I'm speaking about. If they were cut off from their white parent and their white influence in like white society, right? If they were only, or they grew up in a foster home, only like a black foster home, or grew up with only one black parent, typically if it's the mother, right? They have a black mom and their dad, was not around. I'm not laughing because it's messed up. I'm just laughing because it happens a lot because we hear about black men who were kind of deadbeats, but there's a lot of white men who are deadbeats, and a lot of times they have the woman is a black woman, so they have okay, and then they're raised by a black woman, so they're cultured in that environment, that society, to just be, a black person. So they didn't have any connection to their white father and get kind of influence from white society, so to speak. Does that make sense? I feel like there's a lot of confusion that goes there from
Yeah,
someone like me. Okay,
right,
I have a white mom
right.
and a black dad, and I've had access to both groups, both societies my whole life. So I was never cut off from one kind of cultural group. I've always had a connection with both. But go ahead.
So this is interesting that you brought up that some have been in the foster care system. To be honest with you, I'm somebody who comes from a two. I don't talk about family or anything like that. It's just not my deal. I believe in keeping my personal life out of YouTube and stuff like that. But I come from a two-parent family, so I knew absolutely nothing about foster care or foster care system until I got to college. And there were students when we were going to lunch one day, and they were talking about they in foster care. And that's when I learned about like the foster care system or aspects therein. And I've heard that some biracial people get raised in the foster care system. That's an aspect I don't hear too much about. Um, I'm sure for obvious reasons. I mean, I think those
It's
mixed
a
race
sensitive
people who,
topic.
yeah, and I don't blame them for. I know that at least a one or two have mentioned they were in the foster care system. I think it would actually make for an interesting discussion on a panel, but I understand if it's not because I wasn't aware of it myself from a biracial standpoint, and so that concerns me. Um, because of what I heard over the years prior about foster care, stories I was told by students I knew in college, just wasn't. It was just sad, and so when I think about that when I think about that in terms of at least a couple of people I've heard who are biracial that grew up in the foster care system, I can't imagine that really must be really disturbing from that perspective. But getting to the larger issue of biracial people in terms of community, the conclusion that I came to after being on biracial groups for I think over a decade was I think a lot of Black Americans or in Black communities really just don't know much about biracial people beyond the basics. Sometimes you'll hear people talk. I've heard this said, "Oh, I have a niece that's biracial, or a nephew, or I know someone who's biracial." It's like the black friend thing that some white people like to say. "Oh, I have a friend that's black," or "I have this." You know, it's I think what I've noticed and the conclusion I've come to is I think that a lot of Black Americans have been conditioned and socialized to just accept biracial people as Black, and therefore they can't understand why people like you, people like me, and others go and say, yeah, we're biracial, we're mulatto, we're mixed race, we do our own thing, and nothing against other people because they've been conditioned. Now, why and how they've been, I don't know. But that's the conclusion that I've come to after all these years. I've just concluded it's conditioning. They're just used to it, and thus they don't understand. I was on a panel once with a lady, and I remember very nice black lady. But even she was saying, and we weren't discussing biracial topics really, anything. We were talking about other things. But even she said, even though I know you're biracial and you're mixed race, I still want to see people like you as Black. And I think she was kind of honest about that. And I think I can understand only from the premise that I think it's conditioning and socializing. I think that is what Black people have been brought up, having being brought up believing about biracial people and taught about biracial people. So they view it as an insult. I mean, when you consider someone like you or me to be black, quote unquote, and we say no, we're not, and we're doing our own thing, there's a sense of anger for some people because it's like, well, what's wrong with, why are you doing that? Like, it's interesting. I was watching a video today. I think it was about Carol Channing. And are you aware of Carol Channing?
No, I've never heard of her.
Okay. She was a singer and actress. Basically, her father was like an editor, newspaper reporter, editor they were living in Seattle. And he was apparently a mulatto. He was biracial. And I think what happened was that he basically passed for white. Because he ended up going to Brown University and then Yale, and then became a journalist, I guess, newspaper editor. And thus, I think it came out later that Carol Channing thus had African American ancestry in her family, obviously. And so, it's thorny when you get into and so the lady that did that, I think she's a psychologist or something. She seemed to resent the fact that Carol Channing was kind of slightly evasive about discussing her dad, or evasive about kind of acknowledging their African American ancestry. And I know passing's a whole other thing. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now, but again, I think it's this idea of biracial people, black, white, biracial, and mulatto people being tethered to the African American community. And I think even at this time, it's still, there hasn't been a way to kind of, adroitly and diplomatically sever that link in a way that works. And I don't know if that will happen. I
I
don't
think
know.
it will. It will be organic. It's going to be tough, and a lot of people's feathers are going to be ruffled. But I think it's going to be the younger generation. I think me as a millennial, I think it's definitely like the work is going to be done by a lot of us. I feel like, especially as we kind of age and get older. But I know for sure, I'm certain that the younger people, it's inevitably going to happen just because of the growth trajectory. Our numbers are just, it warrants it, that a change, and that we're going to naturally group up together and formulate our own groups. But right now, it's kind of this social media experiment. We're all over the place. We're, trying to find answers, jumping on the internet. I'm pretty positive a lot of things are going to change within the near future, and that the ties you talk about, severing the ties, I think it's going to happen organically. And I think obviously I'm hoping that it happens the most ethical and peaceful way possible. But a lot of people don't want to see us kind of go right and form our own. They want to just latch on to us and hold on to our heels, and but it, there's a lot that can be said with that. But yeah, man, I appreciate you hopping up on the panel. Do you have any kind of
Yeah.
closing statements? Because I'm definitely gonna kind of close
Yeah.
this out now. Go ahead.
I think the thing I'll say in closing, you mentioned people latching on and all of that. I think that at the end of the day, the problem, I think the sad thing that's gone on is that I think unlike a lot of other communities, there is this, again, tethering of biracial people to Black American communities. And for me, when I look at that, I just don't see it as a win. I really don't. And that's been one of the confusing things for me. I say, I don't see the benefit for Black communities in having biracial people being considered Black. I don't see that as beneficial for the communities. it seems to me to be a detriment, because what it leads to is resentment on the part, just like with these individuals that resented this Olympic medalist. It's just this idea that this resentment and envy and jealousy and anger, all these things seem to fester, and they obviously have festered for years. It's not a recent thing. And at the end of the day, I just don't think it benefits monoracial communities to do this, or this monoracial community to do it. I don't see the win here. I think at the end of the day, it's just a loss. It just seems like some form of gatekeeping needs to happen. And I've said this before. I said, I do think African Americans need to gatekeep. I think they need, and that's the tough part. How is this done in a way that is thoughtful and not nasty and not vicious or not harsh toward biracial people? And one, the only thing I can say is over the years, I've tried to warn what biracial people I've talked to. I said, look, you have to approach this gently when you deal with monoracial communities. You have to be careful. You have to understand. You have to try to, maybe you can't understand their point of view, but you have to understand that at the end of the day, no matter how great a person you may be, even if you don't do anything wrong, they're going to know that you're not one of them. And people will resent it because of all the racism and discrimination they've had to put up with. And they see you as an interloper, even though they may not say this, they may see you as an interloper and an outsider that they have to accept because of historical racism and discrimination. And I think it does bug people. I think it does, and that's why I've said the best course of action is some form of gatekeeping and a kind of bifurcation, a kind of separation. We have to get to being our own communities as mulatto people, as biracial, black, white, biracial people, and other kind of biracial people, but mulatto people. We have to be our own communities again. Wider communities, not just online communities. Because I don't see, that was what happened in the past, and it needs to happen again. And it has to happen because I think the Black American communities it's part of their healing process. They need to heal. And part of that healing needs to come from biracial people doing their own thing. So we can allow Black people to heal. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be an issue and problem there. Whether people want to admit it or not, it's going to be a problem. It's already a problem. You can see it in this case. So
I agree.
thank you
Yeah,
for
well
having me.
said. Yeah, I agree a lot. Yeah, well said. Yeah, you hit the nail on it with that. And I like the term you used, the bifurcation process, right? The whole
Right.
bifurcation needs to be that kind of division in the most kind of diplomatic way possible. I think
Right.
organically it will happen over time for sure. I think just people like me, like myself, I feel like I'm definitely have a purpose. I'm doing something. There's people who will try to put me in a position to where it's like I'm being divisive, but no, I'm just looking out for people. Like I sympathize with the lady I covered her video right now today, Sydney McLaughlin. I'm like, look, she had her biracial wake up call. A lot of us have been in
Mhm.
that position. A lot of us have expressed our kind of frustration, our angst, our outgrouping and gatekeeping. It's just inevitable. We're going to have our own. It's just a matter of those of us who are serious about it and want to, do the work to make that happen. But yeah, I appreciate you hopping up on the panel, Al. I'm
Thank
going to
you.
close things out and I'll talk to you
Thank
next
you.
time.
All
Cool.
right. See you.
All right. Peace out. Cool, guys. What else do I want to share just in closing? We got Sharp in the chat. I wanted to address this comment real quick. Shout out to you, Sharp. You say pro blacks are entitled to winning. If they lose, then white supremacy wins. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. And you also put another comment here. You basically said, if you don't want harshness, we need a punishment system. Insults, harm, etc. equals premise for given consequences. Yeah. Well, the insults are, I think, are natural. You're gonna have people insulting you. Slander is really different, right? You have kind of levels to it. Insults is basic. It's like, okay, I can insult you back. The funny thing is, they'll insult you. They want you to take it on a chin. If I say something back, then I'm the racist. I guess I am a racist. I'd rather be a racist than a bitch, to be honest with you. Because you're not gonna come up into me and say something and expect me to just be silent. I know there's a lot of biracials and mulattoes who are cowards and punks. They let these blacks punk them, and that's them. That's not me over here. So just to remind you guys, so the insults is a given. It's gonna happen. Just if someone insults me, I'm gonna insult them back. Now, where you kind of draw the line is where you have to kind of look and be a little more, what do you say, sensitive, I guess, to when it comes to defamation, right? And slander, where they're trying to literally destroy your character. But yeah, the insults kind of falls in line with the ad hominem attacks. They can't really refute your argument. So they're just basically going to say, like the biracial idiots who are basically the baby mamas. Like I already mentioned, the biracial baby mamas, the hood rat, multifacial movement, where it's basically like she can't refute anything I'm saying. She's an idiot. She doesn't even have a high school education. So she'll just say, "You're bald, you're light skinned." So that those type of insults at hominem attacks, it's a given, right? But then you have something that's more serious now in the case of like the situation you see what's going on with like hybrid vigor. You have people on the internet who are literally trying to frame this man as a groomer. They're using like serious language where that's not even an insult. That is literally a legal matter. That's defamation of character, right? There's heavy implications that come with that. You don't just throw those words around, even when people say like a pedo. I know it's happened to some of the, like, even the angry the angry bitch racial, angry biracial, whatever. This guy is a con man fraud artist, and now he's in the divester market, which is an easy market. You can get the undesirable, crusty, dusty quains, and you can, make your money off them. That's fine. You can go for it. But he's involved in that type of slander and defamation, right? Well, he'll try to he'll won't even try. He'll straight out make up lies about people and fabricate stories. That's his skill set, is creating fictitious stories, right? And fake receipts. And he'll do it to slander you, to destroy your character, right? So that's dangerous. So I'm just using that in reference to this. The insults is, yeah, whatever. But the harm, you gotta take it seriously. That's why I was telling you that we gotta, get the physical fitness is a key component, especially for men, the warrior class. So obviously me and you are more combat fighters, right? Not professionally, but I mean we've navigated around pros and stuff like that. Me more in the MMA, you the boxing, but we can put two heads together and come up with something as far as combat. For men, definitely have to stay fit and ready to fight. There's no simpler words, to express. So the harm, for sure, we have a way to deal with that. And then yeah, the consequences, you implement that. You have a code of conduct, right? You have a system of incentives, right? You incentivize good behavior, and then you punish and give consequences to bad behavior. Now in our case now, in this kind of community development formation, you know there's a lot that we can do. I mean, I'm just one guy. But like I said, I'll go back to what I said earlier, is that the right people I want, they're going to be over here navigating my channel, tuning in, commenting, hitting the like button, whatever. If you guys are listening, you haven't hit the like button yet, hit the like button. So I think I'm doing a pretty good job, but I know I still got some cloud watchers and some creepers around there and stuff like that. But whatever. I can't, control who watches. I don't really care. But yeah, and so that's the thing right there. You said right there, the insults, the harm, yeah, the harm you deal with, right? Um, you be serious about it. The insults is ad hominems. It's a given, especially when you're doing better and stuff like that. And the way, what I don't like is, I don't like how it's kind of it's a one way thing. You see with a lot of the simps on the internet, where it's like they'll let the women that they're attracted to throw insults to men. And then they expect you as a man to just sit there and put up with it. Like, I don't know. Like I said, the simps are more dangerous than the hyenas, right? I got more smoke for the simps. Once they show their ass, I'm gonna be on their ass. Like, AMR showed his ass. He's a simp. Now, I don't really know him. I don't really care about him. Just let's just keep it that way. But then you got like Just Chill. His name is Just Chillin'. I call it Just Simpin'. He's a bitch ass simp. He's a black manosphere incel. So you got characters like that who are essentially enablers, right? They're enablers. And you got, the Kermit the Frog, Irby, some little creepy weirdo that is a cheerleader for multifacial movement. So you got guys like that who are, those guys are going to be more potential problem. But that's where the insults and the homonyms come into play. Excuse me. Yeah, let me move on from all that foolishness. Multifacial is no high school education. I mean, it's kind of very, obvious, right? She has a very limited lexicon. She can barely form sentences. She has to use an expletive, a curse word. Literally, she'll say the F word or she'll say shit. Like every sentence. She's so stupid and dense that she has to cuss. I mean, she cannot express herself without cursing. And she has, like I said, a very limited lexicon. Her vocabulary is so small. She's literally got to be the stupidest idiot on the internet. I know. Yeah, she got knocked up very young. Right? She's a baby mama. She didn't even graduate high school. It's very evident. I would, it's obvious, man. It's obvious. She's so stupid. It's sad. And an angry biracial, Mr. Stolen Valor. Yeah, he literally writes fictitious books, and so he'll try to slander. See, like I said, there's levels. The insults and ad hominem attacks, it's going to happen. But when I look at the kind of slander and defamation, that's what angry biracial did to me, but he also did it to Hybrid as well. He went really hard on me because I shared an image. I was going to do a live stream where he was stepping on American flag. There's like public, image he shared of himself of him stepping on the American flag. I took a screenshot and put it as a thumbnail. I'm like, I'm going to go in and talk about this. So he freaked out. He said he stayed up till like 4 or 5 in the morning, creating a whole fake receipts, fake story to try to slander me. It was basically made up entire fake scenario. The only thing he had accurate was the location I lived at, because he basically doxed me. I supported him when I first seen him. I bought a t-shirt. I bought an angry biracial t-shirt. I supported him. And it was my fault. I was stupid on his internet game because I have a business, what they call a business, post office box, right? So, and I put my trust in the guy. You learn from those little mistakes, right? And so I just was like, oh no, I want to wear the t-shirt, just mail it to my home. It only cost like $20. So it was my fault. I had a whole nother, post office. My business post office. I could have had the t-shirt mailed there so he wouldn't have my address. But that's what you get for putting your trust in some internet people you don't even know. Just you're a good person, good-willed, and he takes advantage of that. But yeah, like I said, what I'm saying is, so the only thing he had accurate was the address that I had, and that's my fault because I bought something from him. So he doxed me on that, but then he made up shit about me robbing someone and getting my butt kicked. He said tried to rob someone and got beat up. Never happened. Fake receipts. He pulled up receipts of a guy. He knows my name. Man, that's basically a lot of people know my name. That's fine. I mean, what are you gonna do with it? I don't share it to everybody, but it's not. I have a whatever. What else am I gonna say? Yeah. So then he just made up a bunch of fake shit, trying to say that I invited someone to drink beer at my house, and that's what he does though. And he's done that with a lot of other people too. He has a whole blog and where he writes. Everything's fake, man. You can't trust shit with that guy. You watch that video about the stolen valor, where he's like, he has a straight face talking about these atrocities he's done. I mean, it's amazing. And he's almost got like 8,000, black women, divestors, dust vesters following him. I'm not surprised, man. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. Yeah, those are the people who are going to follow you, and they're all, going to get the same results as you, right? Basically, they're going to be hurt, crying, and sad, you know. So That's the market, because in that market, all they want to do is talk shit about black men. And I guess some people can say maybe with me, I'm a little harsh with the communitah, but you know, uh, because like I said, it's that whole bifurcation. I think severing ties is kind of more extreme. I liked what's his name, AJ the moderator. The type of language he uses, he says it's a kind of a fair kind of cultural handshake, right? That kind of separation, right? That's not even separation. It can be kind of looked at as more, aggressive. More so, my whole thing is independent. Having an independent group that's has sovereignty, that can function on its own. It's not tied to any other particular monoracial group. We can function within ourselves. We have men and women. Let me share a post. This is kind of congruent, talking about this being our own kind of independent group. But in regards to, I saw something on Twitter. It was kind of funny. So Andrew Tate made a tweet earlier today about basically the whole Matrix and that whole situation, right? The Matrix, what he calls it. But let me share this. I saw this was pretty interesting here. You guys can see that. Yeah. I'll lower it one more. Yeah. Yeah, you guys can see that. If you read this here, it says put 100 women and 10 men on a deserted island. In 100 years, you will have a community of men, women, boys, and girls. That right there. Okay. Put 100 women and 10 men, all you need. On a deserted island, in 100 years, you will have a community of men, women, and boys. So we could be self-sufficient if we have men and women working together. We could have families, we could have a community. In 100 years from now, we'll still have a thriving civilization. This is really the core central pillar to my philosophy of why I'm doing what I'm doing. This whole community formation, which is independent. We're interconnected in this world. We can do business and trade. We need to do business and trade on our terms. This whole getting kicked out of this group and outgrouped and all this shit, it's not, when we have our own groups and our own institutions, our own businesses, that stuff it doesn't work anymore. The communitah will have to re-strategize, because those are the main ones that I see, this whole outgrouping component. A lot of times you'll hear people will say, you guys never talk about white people or your other parents about they don't accept you. I mean, like I've said plenty of times, I'm going to say again, a lot of them do accept us. They accept us even more if we step on your ass, If we talk crap about black, for me, because I'm mulatto. So if I talk crap about black people and hating on blacks and all this shit, oh, trust me, they'll accept me even more. But see, I don't have it within me. I'm trying to create balance in my life. And I have too much self-respect. I know who I am, where I'm not going to just throw all blacks under the bus to uplift whites. That's not me. And because of that, a lot of times they're going to be like, I don't know. So no, yeah, there is acceptance with them. It's just you're going to be on the shittier end of the stick, and everyone's situation is different. So some people think I'm kind of harsh in a lot of ways. But yeah, so I just wanted to point that out, that we could be self-sufficient if men and women work together. And then, of course, you hear put 100 trans women and 10 men on a deserted island. In 100 years, you will find the skeletons of 110 men. It's science. Yeah, it's science. Because only men can be trans women, right? This concept of trans women. What the hell is a trans woman? A trans woman's a man. It's a dude who wants to be a woman, who's transitioning into a woman. Trans woman's a man. Only a man can be a trans woman. A woman can't be a trans woman. Does that make sense, guys? I mean, this is the type of clown world wackiness that we have today. But that's going off into a whole bunch of other stuff. I wanted to point out the main thing about the whole community formation development. We just need men and women working together. Men are going to be the builders, but we have to provide for the women. We're going to pick and select. I'm going to say this: women who cooperate and women who are not going to challenge us, because there's a lot of weird gender dynamics going on, especially when I started uploading content talking and, observing other content creators, especially the ones I already mentioned. I don't want to even bring them up again, but the one idiot who didn't even graduate high school, who's a baby mama, a lot of those people, they're same sex attracted and they're hyper feminist. I mean, it's incompatible. It's not compatible. Men who have a mission and a plan and they have any hint of masculinity, it's just not compatible. And I like the way Hybrid Vigor, he can explain these things more eloquently than me. The way he frames the discussion, where it's like a lot of these, not a lot, but the ones who are very vocal, they act like an enemy outgroup male. It's insane. Like it's like they're competing with us for women. It's fucking weird. So, shout out to Hybrid because like I said, he can explain, he can articulate these things way better than me because I'm kind of new to this stuff, right? I'm a decade plus younger than Hybrid, but even then I'm just like I'm not used to seeing this weird shit, these weird gender dynamics, reverse gender roles where you got the large and in charge, biracial baby mamas who are running shit, and they got their simps who are the weak asses who are getting punked on their panels. They kick them off their panels, call them bitches. Then a couple months later, they run back begging to be on their panel. Fucking weak, fucking sad, fucking pathetic. You're not going to see that from me. And you see that kind of reverse gender role where they got to beg to talk. And you look at some of those channels where they're begging, excuse me, can I say something, please? Please. You look at the type of men that they bring on their platform, right? And you're looking at this like, this isn't, do you guys not see this? So no. There's going to be certain people who are going to be incompatible with men, right? They're not going to be on our page. That's fine. Go over there, have a good day. But yeah, I think I said a lot, maybe a little too much for the public. But then again, this is a public platform, but there's a lot of politics that go on. The whole point is with me, I'm trying to move away from the scumbags, the criminals, Pookie's leftovers. I'm moving away from all of them. Okay. This is a Pookie free platform. Okay. And reasonable, civilized people are going to listen and tune in. Even a lot of pro-blacks, believe it or not. Now they know I'm here. So now they're watching, observing. That's great, So hey, pro people who are pro themselves, or this is a pro self platform, So, but yeah, if you're a Pookie or some degenerate or whatever, I'm not interested in entertaining you, Okay, your job is either hit the Cash App, hit the like button, or entertain, dance for me. That's your job. I'm not gonna entertain you. So the pro blacks will, because they love Pookie. That's their hero. It's the white man's fault. The white man, the bad guy. The guy who who established the internet connection you're using, the guy who built the cell phone, computer you're using, a microphone, everything you're using. Not everything, but damn well, probably most of it. It's his fault. It's his fault. All right. Yeah, so I said a lot for sure, guys. I appreciate you guys being here. I'm gonna close it out because I went on a little longer than I wanted to. I'm gonna be back pretty soon, probably in a couple days. Um, Well, yeah, shout out to Sydney McLaughlin. Shout out to Jay Sharp in the chat, like he said right here. No weirdos too. Yeah. Yeah. But then again, it's kind of weirdo, it's kind of ambiguous, I guess, because there's people who could say that what I do is weird or something I do is weird. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of it's not clear cut across the board of what is weird. Something that's weird to one person is not weird to another. We can think of in terms of like a fetish, right? Something like that. Um, so that's where it kind of can get a little tricky with what is classified as weird. But I get what you're saying, just generally speaking, no weirdos. But how do we determine that, right? Someone's able to hide some type of behavior that we think is not like pleasant, but they might show it in the future. Never trust anyone on YouTube. Yeah, I learned my lesson for sure. Yeah, man. Yeah. And it sucks because the thing is, you come to a community, you find people similar experiences as you. I think most of us in the chat, even probably listening, we kind of share similar experiences. So we come to develop this sense of community. When the trust is broken, I mean, it's really hard to reestablish something, right? And it's happened a lot. Unfortunately, what I've seen, it hasn't even been a year yet. navigating some of the spaces, but I realize a lot of people are shit, and I kind of want my own, not kind of, I literally definitely do want my own kind of space where I can bring where people I want the right people around. Okay. If you want entertainment, over time as I get better, I can add more entertainment value. But ultimately, I think people are just going to want to listen to what I have to say. They're going to appreciate my advice and expertise. And not only that, that the main thing, I'm giving you the kind of mulatto biracial perspective, right? From the years, the experience that I have. Someone who's college educated, level headed, and, speaking from the heart, right? And trying to articulate things the best way that I can. So this is raw, uncut, maybe a tad bit filtered. Obviously, it's YouTube. Um, but sometimes I like to ruffle feathers, sometimes not so much. But yeah, this is mainly an educational channel for sure, at community development, but for sure entertainment as I get better and better. Don't think I have anything else to add. Shout out, like I said, Cindy McLaughlin. I appreciate her sharing her story. We can all learn from that. She had her biracial wake up call. It's kind of a tough pill to swallow. Made her shed some tears, but she's going to be stronger and she's going to learn a lot from that. Shout out to Jay Sharp in the chat who shared that video clip with me. I think it was very good, very insightful, and I hope you guys have got a lot out of that. And of course, she's a very young woman, right? She's like 23, barely, so already extremely accomplished, gold medalist, over 1 million followers Instagram. So I'd like to see where things play out in the future with her, especially as far as identity formation, if she is going to acknowledge herself fully as being biracial mulatto, or, you know, I'd just like to see where things go with her because I only see a bright future with her. And shout out to Al for jumping on the panel, all you guys. So yeah, let me play out this groovy track. I think the same one I played, Buster Rhymes. Okay, cool guys. I'll talk to you guys next time. Pretty.